So in preparation, I just went out and bought myself a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue for the office in preparation for our talk. So I'm going to pour myself one before we start. So give me 1 second.
Go for it.
I figure I don't wear silk pajamas from Dolce & Gabbana, but I do drink good scotch. I do drink good scotch. And I'll repeat that when you start recording.
Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Delighted to be here with Lou DiBella for the latest DiBella's Digest. Cheers to you, Lou.
Cheers.
Some great scotch.
As I said, Danny, previously before we started talking on tape, that I don't wear beautiful silk pajamas from Dolce & Gabbana, but I do drink good scotch. So I bought myself a celebratory bottle of Johnny Walker Blue for the office, and I'm going to sip on it when I speak to you.
Well, as you say, a celebratory bottle. Obvious question, and I think I know the answer, but still, how's your week been?
I've had a really good week, actually. Like it's been a very good week, and a lot of fronts. When my baseball team in Richmond, Virginia, started a initiative for Black History Month, where we honored the Richmond 34, who were 34 students from Virginia Union in 1960, who sat down at an all-white luncheon counter at a department store in Richmond and got arrested. They became heroes at local civil rights movements. So we started a program to educate people in Virginia and around the country about what these people had done. And we had a big celebration on Wednesday. We did a program to honor them, and it went really well. And then yesterday, the purse bid for Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos turned out to be a remarkably profitable day for all involved, with Triller making a huge and preemptive bid. So it's been a rough year and change, but it's been a good week. So I started my Friday happy hour a little early.
Now, Lou, I'm not sure what the answer to this will be, but I have to ask: have you ever made so much money in such a short amount of time before?
Oh, you got to remember, I was involved in some mega fights, some pay-per-view fights and stuff. So the answer is yes, but not on an event where I'm not promoting. No, not an event where I'm not promoting. And obviously, Aram is, even though Aram lost a bit, everything else, Aram's making more money than my company is because they're on a bigger percentage of the money. But it's certainly an extraordinary payday for everyone involved. But, look, I'm really happy for George Kambosos because he spent 4 years outside of Australia fighting on Pacquiao undercards, fighting on small shows that I arranged for him. We sent him to Greece to fight on a show. He's fought all over the world, but not at home. And he's fought good opposition. I mean, he's not a guy that's an undeserving mandatory. He earned his mandatory status. He went to England and beat Lee Selby. He's beaten quality opposition. If you look at his record, the combined record of George's opponents stands up there with any young prospect in terms of the quality of opposition. So I'm thrilled for him. But when you sit down and you realize he hasn't won a world title yet, he's only in his early 20s, and he's about to be a millionaire. I mean, thank God. I mean, that's just like I know that he's grateful, and also he's walking into a situation with very little pressure on him. If he goes in there and he does him, and he provides the kind of effort that he's capable of, because he's a highly skilled kid. I think he's going to give Teofimo a hell of a fight, and if he does that, he's a big winner no matter what. If he can beat Teofimo, he's a superstar. But it's rewarding to know that a kid who's been a good soldier, who's been dedicated and loyal and done everything you've asked him to do, he deserves this good fortune. So I'm really happy for George. I'm happy for Teofimo and all involved too. And you know what too? Like all the controversy now and the anger back and forth, Aram made a business decision, okay? And then the marketplace ruled. And DAZN and Eddie bid. They bid an amount that they thought was appropriate, and they wanted to get the fight. They wanted to get the fight for DAZN subscribers. They thought that DAZN subscribers would love to see Teofimo on DAZN and see this fight, Kambosos Teofimo, see it on DAZN. And that's their prerogative. The fight went to the open market, and then obviously a new player came in that no one anticipated, and Triller came in with a huge bid. But I hope they blow it up, man. I'm looking forward to meeting Snoop Dogg. I told you I liked the last Triller show I saw. I'm looking forward to meeting Snoop Dogg. I'd love to sit down and have spend a few minutes with him. I think I'm hoping they could build it into a really big event.
Before we talk about the wider context of Triller's move, can you tell us anything about where, when, what else might be on the card, all that kind of logistical stuff?
I haven't heard from anyone at Triller yet. We'll be reaching out, obviously, because we're going to be working together. But I haven't heard from anyone at Triller yet, and I'm sure they're figuring out the logistics right now. I'm sure, based upon the purse bid and the time frames or whatever, I'm sure the fight will likely happen in May or early June. I'm guessing, but we'll see.
And you said that no one anticipated Triller coming in. Did you anticipate? Did you have any inkling they might be making a bid?
There was some scuttlebutt that Triller might have had an interest a while back, but I didn't hear anything more about it. And I wasn't shocked when I went on that Zoom call and Ryan Kavanaugh from Triller was on the call at all. I wasn't shocked, but I didn't anticipate it. And I certainly didn't anticipate a preemptive bid. Look, people are saying, oh, they paid crazy money. No, they wanted to fight. And they made a decision that if they were going to bid, they were going to win. And if they can make it work as an event and make it work from a programming standpoint, it's going to turn out to be a good decision because they're clearly getting a lot of attention from having made this move. And you know what? If they're going to be doing influencers boxing and celebrity boxing and legends boxing, why shouldn't they do real boxing? And I don't think a new player with deep pockets is a bad thing. I think it's good for everyone.
And Kavanagh said yesterday, I think it was, that this doesn't mark a kind of sea change in their philosophy. They're not looking to kind of take over this area of the boxing market. But what does it mean for boxing? Is it, good for boxers, more competition? Will we see more of this on Triller?
Well, it's certainly, even if they're not going to make it's not going to be a sea change, and I don't think they're looking to compete with the big promoters in boxing. I don't think they're looking to be traditional boxing guys. However, if they can prove that there's a mix of real, I'm calling it real boxing, but a mix of traditional boxing, major matchups between guys that are not influencers, that aren't legends, that aren't celebrities, that are active fighters. If they can make a mix of real fights with celebrity / influencer / legend fights and do it in a way that attracts people and creates a good product and sells, then that's a good recipe that's only going to help fighters, managers, even promoters, because I don't think they're looking to sign fighters to promotional contracts. At least that's not what I've read. I think they're looking to put together events that they can market their way and make money with. And, I even though I don't expect them to come in full throttle on traditional boxing, I think this is certainly positive news for the industry.
When we saw KSI Logan Paul rematch a while ago, and you had the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, Devin Haney on the card, it was kind of widely criticised, and the idea that the audience could be inherited there was a sceptical reception to that. But this time around, with Triller winning the bid, people seem a lot more receptive and pleased that this has happened.
Because I also think that a lot of people did look, almost 1.7 million, 1.8 million. I don't even know the number, but a lot of people saw their show with Tyson and Jones. And I think even though Tyson and Jones was no Gaddy Ward or anything really truly memorable, it had that celebrity interest. Mike's a legend, Roy's a legend. It was fun, not to be taken so seriously. But the entirety of the show was just quality entertainment. Great music, terrific production by a lot of gentlemen I used to work with and ladies I used to work with at HBO who were involved in the production for them. The production was first class. The entertainment was first class. The production of the music was excellent. And I don't know anybody that bought it that wasn't entertained. I didn't really hear anybody complaining saying, oh shit, I spent $50 on that. Everyone I talked to was sort of like, that wasn't bad. That was a good night of entertainment. I enjoyed myself. So I think people are thinking if they can take a young star like Teofimo fighting a legitimate, hungry, up-and-coming contender like George Kambosos, they're both good-looking kids. They both have a lot of charisma, big mouths, huge self-confidence. I think they're going to help promote the event. I expect to see some influencer or legend fights on the card. I expect that there'll be some music on the card, and I certainly expect there'll be Snoop Dogg there. So, I'm a huge
so you
Snoop
won't
Dogg.
get to listen to Snoop Dogg this time.
What?
You'll be at the
Well,
event, so you might not get.
No, I want to tell you something. I'm in the process of scheduling my shots. I am aiming toward a return to ringside for this event. So I hope to be there in that bubble or in that ringside situation. I hope to be there.
Well, your loss is also your gain because you'll get to be there ringside, but you won't get to hear the pearls of wisdom from the Snoop Doggy Dog. Bob Arum, you mentioned his kind of reaction earlier. He said he was very happy to have made almost $800,000 from that purse bid being opened, and said that he believes that there's every chance Lopez comes back to the Top Rank fold. He's contracted to them as a big.
Well, he has a contract.
When he left.
The purse bid going to Triller doesn't have an impact on the contract. So he still has a contract with Teofimo. And look, you haven't seen me. Look, I don't like all the negativity and I don't like trying to chill people from not bidding. I don't like that kind of stuff. However, I'm not questioning Top Rank's business decision. They made a deal. They had a contract that had a minimum in it. They didn't want to pay more than the minimum. They let it go to the open market. Where I'm in a little bit of disagreement is once it went to the open market, you let it get there. So at that point, why are you angry at anybody? The market ruled. You're making $800,000, which is a shitload of money, not on that particular weekend and lead up to the fight, not to have to do anything. It's sort of like, the guy that breaks up with his girlfriend doesn't want to sleep with her anymore, but then he doesn't want anybody else to sleep with her. Like, in real life, you can have that immature attitude. But in business, you really sort of should or can't. If you don't want to make a deal and you're letting something go to the open market, then the open market's going to dictate and rule. And that's what happened here.
When Arum says something,
but I'm not bashing Arum for making that decision. I mean, he knows what his his budgets are, and he knows what makes business sense for his company. But I don't, I don't know how the acrimony with a young star fighter helps anybody.
And Arum made a comment, quite flippant, of course, but said, if Triller like Lopez so much, they can buy out his contract. When Lopez hears his promoter say something like that, he's not going to be appreciative, is he?
I've had fighters that I had every reason to hate that quietly in my own mind when they fought, I was sort of wishing that maybe they didn't succeed. But I've made a real over the years, I've never really denigrated one of the fighters that I have under contract publicly because I always thought that our laundry was better off aired privately. Now, in this particular situation, because they couldn't make a deal, the open market ruled, the circumstances around it were sort of public. Look, Bob's a force of nature, man. He's 89. He's almost 90 fucking years old. And he's one of the greatest promoters in the history of boxing. But when anybody's 89 years old, you generally stop giving a single fuck. Yeah. Like when you're 89 years old, the filters usually come off. And in Bob's case, I think they have also. They've come off. Is it advisable? Is it helpful with respect to a long-term relationship between the company and Teofimo and his management? I wouldn't think so. Now, on the other hand, he's 89 years old and he's just shooting from the hip. And, there's a little bit of me that sort of respects the no care kind of attitude. But it's difficult because they do have 3.5 years, apparently, or 3 years plus left in their contract with Teofimo. And you have to think at the moment, the relationship is certainly strained.
Teofimo is actually on record not too long ago being quite critical of the influencer boxing concept. Do you think that's changed now that they've made him a very rich man? I think I'm reading what he's saying. I think he's grateful for the fact that he's making an enormous payday. Yeah.
And I also think I think that if I don't think that the Triller is going to put I don't think they're going to put Teofimo and Kambosos in an undercard positioning. And I think that if they were going to be an undercard, even though he made a fortune, I'm sure Teofimo wouldn't be thrilled by that. But I see no reason from what I'm seeing or hearing or reading to believe they're going to do that. He has no reason to be anything but happy. They put a lot of money in his pocket.
I think Ryan Cavanagh said at worst it will be like a co-main event, so they'll have that and they'll have some sort of either influencer or superstar crossover style fight, also sharing top billing, perhaps.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, that was done. That was done when DAZN did that show in Florida. They mixed up the two. I think with Triller, it's going to be more about the entertainment value of the entirety of the show than it's going to be about any particular bout. And man, if I'm a fighter, it's prize fighting, and my attitude as a fighter would simply be show me the money. Yeah, legacy is important, and all that stuff's important, but a fighter's career is very brief, and it could end on any particular night. It's a very unforgiving business. We've said that before, and it's the truth. So he's about to make a payday that's more than double of what he might have otherwise anticipated, and based upon the offers he had from Top Rank. So I'm sure he's pleased with where it is. I don't expect that you'll be seeing Teofimo criticizing Triller.
No, me neither. And also, after taking less money than was originally on the table for the Lomachenko fight, as did Lomachenko, to make the fight happen, a lot of people out there on social media are saying Teofimo kind of deserves this.
Look, he bet on himself. He took a risk. Arum had a minimum in his contract. And by the way, we still are at a period of time where you can't sell a full arena. So it is still a disadvantageous time for a promoter and for the bottom line. It's a disadvantageous time. So I'm not going to criticize Arum and Top Rank for making a decision to try to make the kid hold to his minimum. But the kid did what was in his prerogative to say, no, I'm not going to agree to that, and let the process play out. And Arum knowingly acquiesced to that by not negotiating above the minimum. So when this happened, I don't know why anybody's upset.
Yeah. No,
I don't know why anybody's pointing fingers. I don't know why anybody's making threats. It doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe it's just a PR thing, your own fighter who you've built in and invested in. He's ended up, even though it's through partly Arum's fault, has ended up going to this brand new operator, this new potential powerhouse. So it's kind of a PR issue. It's the optics aren't great. Maybe,
but you know what? I might be looking at it a different way. Like, if you go out there and you say, okay, well, look, I made an offer based upon a negotiation we had before the Lomachenko fight, but I elected to let the market. We both elected to let the market determine, and the market determined. And I'm happy that Teofimo's making a shitload of money, and I hope the event does well, and that more people are brought to boxing. And then I look forward to Teofimo coming back to ESPN and Top Ranks. That might have been a better PR move in my view. But, Bob is Bob, and at 89 years old, he's entitled to fucking behave any way he wants. Like, you think right now, you think Bob's losing sleep about what people are saying at the moment? I don't really think so.
I can't wait to see you at 89 years old.
You won't. You might see me socially. We might have one of these Zoom calls to catch up, Danny. I promise you. First of all, may I be alive at 89 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Second of all, I will promise you that I will be nowhere near boxing when I'm 89 years old.
We shall see, Lou. We shall see. This is what all the boxers say. I'll be retired by the time I'm 40, and very few of them are, but I'm going to have faith in you. We'll see. We won't still be doing these DiBella's Digests when you're 89 years old, I don't think.
No, though they might be a lot more fun. You never know.
Well,
if you were doing an Arum's Digest, I'm sure you'd have a ball.
Yeah. So. Brilliant. Well, cheers, Lou, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Cheers, Danny. Cheers to everyone that's going to watch this. I hope you have as good a week as I just had. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.